Hi, hello, welcome back to my yard and vlog. Yeah. For today, I wanted to have us take a look at what is naturally blossoming and flowering in our ecosystem here. An important first step in the permaculture process is just kind of slowing down to nature's pace and seeing what already works without my help. So kind of just noticing, like, what's already doing great here? What kind of conditions do I have? What plants are already here, calling it home? And what can I do to support them and help them and learn from them? So, on that note, I'll be taking us just kind of around the property, seeing who it is that has come out to greet us so far this spring. I mentioned this a couple different times, but our yard and land tends to have, in comparison to others in the neighborhood, a little bit later flowering blooms. So I noticed like our daffodils came out quite a bit later, and I noticed that most of the things that flower for us came out a little later than the rest of our neighborhood. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at, now that it's April, what is joining us. Alrighty, so I wanted to give a little update of what is blooming here in our backyard. We tend to have a later bloom with almost all our flowering plants out of our entire neighborhood, and I'll show you that here shortly. This is called Oregon grape. It's considered an invasive species. Yeah, hi. But I think I'm changing my vocabulary to opportunistic species. Anyway, underneath this, I had been looking at these big green leafy babies, and I was thinking, gosh, why are the dandelion heads, the yellow part, or the wish parts, that's what I call them, the white little seed flowery parts of dandelions, why are they not popping out? So I took out my handy dandy app called, which one do I use? Picture This. And it's a great one for identifying plant species that you don't know, which I have been doing in all the seasons. But anyway, this is a variety of wild lettuce that is growing pretty nicely in our backyard. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to promote that relationship I have here, and then also figure out what are we going to do with all this lettuce that is just naturally occurring here. And then we'll come take a peek at other flowering plants that have just started for us here in April. The rest of our neighborhood started flowering quite a bit earlier. All right, I'm starting us in a little close, but there you can see what will eventually be these beautiful purple, like bells almost. I don't know the name of them, but I will have to look it up and put that in somewhere at a later time. Yeah, these are turned into a full bed of beautiful purple flowers. And I know I've seen them blossoming throughout the area here, just our yard, like I keep saying, a little bit of a later bloom. We call our dog Baba. That's what's going on. As well, I can't remember the name of this one either. Is this yarrow? Is it? I know I looked this one up, and I've written them all down. I'm still working on memorizing my beautiful plants, but these beauties have just started flowering, which is awesome. The dandelions always seem to flower first for us, and this beauty as well started flowering. This was so much smaller when we first moved in. Again, I just kind of started recording. I should have refamiliarized myself with the names of these plants, but hey, what are you gonna do, right? And then across the way, we've got some other pretty heavy flowers. I don't know if I mentioned this before on a vlog, but I know I had shared, I think on my Instagram, that I have not pruned this plant ever. And you can really tell. I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't want to mess it up. So it's now becoming pretty clear that I need to, because all the flowers are really heavy. So my plan, until I do a little more research, is to wait until the flowering season is over and then go in and make some changes, give a little direction, a little support. It's beautiful, and you can see this is one that like the hummingbirds love, the bees love. There's even some ants that find their way into these beautiful blossoms. Yeah. And then we do have some daffodils in the front yard, and I'll see if I can get some of that here. What's going on in our yard right now? Okay, I am coming back with a quick correction on this plant here. I had said previously that I thought it might be yarrow, which I think is because of the white flowers. In my mind, I just was like, yarrow. I double checked it, and this is called an evergreen candy tuft. So just so I am not confusing anyone who is in the process of identifying any plants in their own yard or environment, this is not yarrow. All right, again, another flowering plant. This one is a trillium, I think named after the 3 petals that find themselves on this beauty. This is the first one of the season. Typically, they are hidden throughout this area that I call the fairy garden. And there are some purple ones. From what I've read about this one, they take, I think, about 3 years before they blossom purple. And they do come back every year. I'm always really surprised by where they come out. It seems like they come out in kind of different positions every year, but they do exist here in some cute little nooks and crannies. Next to a lot of ferns. This tends to be a more shaded area. It does get some sunlight, but not as much as is needed for a lot of the other plants that you would want to put in a fairy garden. This is a pretty shady area, as you can see by the natural existence of these ferns. And then just behind here are this is a smaller patch of dead nettles. And the dead nettles are the purple flowers that have started, let's see if I can get into focus here, to blossom all throughout the backyard. And I'll walk over and show you.
Apple?
Yeah, that is an apple. Another patch here in a moment. And here are some more dead nettles. These ones grow pretty easily and pretty naturally all throughout our front and backyard. And before becoming a little more educated in permaculture, I actually had no idea that these could be a useful plant to have.
Mama.
Here we are with the daffodils in the front. It's a little tricky. Oh, there we go. A little better focus. The color is so beautiful and bright that the camera is almost having a challenging time picking up how amazing it is. But here are some daffodils that are in our front yard. We don't really have as many flowering things in the front yard, but this is what we have so far. And then we also have my favorites, the dandelions. I kind of think of them as like the sunflower's little sister. I know sunflower has that kind of big sister energy of just like in your face, all over the place. Dandelion and I go way back. Love a good dandelion. And I'll try and get some footage of the huge, almost field of dandelions we have in the backyard. But as you can see, until they have sunlight, they close up at night and then open back up once there is some sun to say hello to. So that is about it for flowering things in this moment. I plan to update what's blossoming, what's flowering as it continues. Alright, I decided to do an update of this little patch later in the day, specifically so you can see the difference of when the sun comes out. This one had dandelions that sprouted. This one, that was why I kept wondering, gosh, when are the dandelions gonna open up? As I mentioned earlier, the dandelions open up once the sun touches them. So that is why else I decided to come back at a different point in another day so I can show you some other areas that have dandelions and sticks and gosh, all sorts of things, but we're focusing on the blooms right now. And same thing, at a later point in the day is when these ones open up, because this portion of the backyard, and actually the majority of the land in the backyard, is covered by the very large trees that we have. You can get a feel for it. You've got a feel. Yeah. So, it takes a little bit longer for things to get going in the back. Well, I guess it's just different conditions, huh? Anyway, returning from a different point in time, in a different area in the space of my backyard. To conclude this video of introducing you to what's blooming in my neck of the woods right now. I also wanted to give some gratitude towards my imaginary sponsors, the things that I believe have made my ability to create these videos possible. First and foremost, Mother Earth, who this week I learned that my Icelandic ancestors called yard, but it's spelled, get this, Jord. How cool is that? I'd also like to thank the sun. I don't know that blooming would be possible without it. As well as the copious amounts of rain in the Pacific Northwest area. Again, all this green has a tricky time without it. Additionally, all my plant allies and friends here that I showcased in this video, we've got quite a few more lined up, but this is who's blooming, so I'd like to thank them. As well as the app Picture This. While I was completing my courses in permaculture, the app was a huge support for me in the process of mapping out the zones of my backyard and getting a really good understanding of where did these plants come from, what conditions do they thrive under, and what can I do to best support that. So again, the app Picture This. And then additionally, my 9-year-old sister who taught me that apparently the app Picture This is also a feature on Snapchat. She showed me how to use it. I haven't used it myself, but for anyone who's more Snapchat savvy than I, there's apparently a plant identifying filter. We tested it. There's room for improvement, but for anyone who's interested in giving it a try, let me know if you do, if you take the opportunity to identify any plants. And in the meantime, start where you are, use what you have.